All right, welcome. I am Howard Krebs. This is Howard's Horse Handicapping, our first Zoom show. Thanks for joining me, whether you're joining me on this Zoom call or if you're going to be watching the replay on my channel, on my YouTube channel, Howard's Horse Handicapping. Thanks for joining me tonight. Please make sure you also follow me on Twitter at @HKravitz, K-R-A-V as in Victory, E-T-S as in Sam. I'm going to be showing you a bunch of information. Tonight, what we're going to do in about the next hour or so is we're going to go over the $20 million Saudi Cup, which takes place in Saudi Arabia, obviously, on Saturday, as well as the 6 stake races from Laurel on Saturday, including 2 grade 3s. And I'm also going to show you replays, my Pick 5 ticket, a lot of other information. The first thing I'd like to do is share my screen. I'm going to show you the lineup here for what I planned for tonight's show so you can see what we're going to be doing. So let me zoom out here so you can see the plan, or zoom in, excuse me. So again, I'm going to just quick introductions. I'm not going to talk too much about myself. This show will be shown again on replay on Howard's Horse Handicapping, my YouTube channel. So please feel free to watch that and also comment down below the video player after you watch this. If you're watching a replay, I'd love to hear your comments and opinions on how we can make the show better and make this Zoom better. Just ground rules for people who are going to be joining the show live. Just be respectful of people's opinions. If you want to hate, you can find many other places for that, but this is not one of them. Depending on how many people show up, if there are a lot of people, there's a raise hand button. If you click on participants on the bottom, and then you look on the bottom right, there's actually a way to raise your hand if you have a question that you feel like I should be answering right away. Or you can just put comments in the chat, which again is on the bottom. You can press chat and you can type in comments there. If you have a long shot in any of these races, you have to tell us about it. We want to hear about your long shots, but you have to give reasons. You can't just say I like a 30-to-1 shot just because of the name or the color. So if you have some creative ideas, we'd love to hear from you. Again, we're going to talk about the Saudi Cup, and we're going to preview the race, which starts at the post time is 12:40 on the East Coast. It's going to be on Fox Sports 1. I know they have coverage from noon to 1 o'clock. This is going to be their live coverage on the Saudi Cup on Fox Sports 1, and the undercard is going to be on Fox Sports 2, I believe. The rest of the card. We're going to talk about the Laurel Grade Stakes, which starts in race 7 and 8 are the graded stakes. The race 7 is about 3:45 Eastern Standard Time. The non-graded stakes start at 3 o'clock, and the weather should be fine. It's going to be a little bit cold at Laurel, but in terms of horrible weather, that's going to be cleared out, fortunately. And unless you live in Hawaii, Southern California, Arizona, or Florida, your weather sucks right now. So hope everyone is staying warm and doing okay out there and has power too. We're going to talk about my Pick 5 ABC ticket at Laurel, and I'm also going to give you my Caveman ticket. If you don't know what those mean, we're going to talk about that briefly. And also, depending on who comes on the show, if a lot of people, we'll give a Q&A on all other horse racing topics. I'm happy to discuss anything with you. Again, there's my YouTube channel. I know that you can't copy and paste because I'm just sharing a screen, but you can watch the show again. You can take a picture of it. Or again, if you just go to the search bar and type in Howard's Horse Handicapping, that's the best way to get to my YouTube channel, and on Twitter at @HKravitz. So that's the show rundown. And here's what we're going to do. I'm going to start with, again, the Saudi Cup. Excuse me. So the first thing I'd like to do as I maneuver through everything here is going to show you the field. So here's the field for the second annual $20 million Saudi Cup. You see the field there. It's a field of 14 right now as we speak. what's a little bit confusing, just to let you know, is the numbers on the left are not the post positions. This happens a lot in Europe and in Saudi Arabia and other places in the world. So again, the program number is on the left, but when you watch the race, the post where it says draw, the post numbers are on the right. And you also can see all the trainer, the owner, etc. They're all going to be the same weights. No one gets a weight break. And obviously some of the best jockeys in the world are going to be riding these horses. A few bits of information about the track. This is the King Abdulaziz is the name of the track. It's in Riyadh. Interesting enough, the weather's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be like the high 50s when the race goes on. So if you're worried about a horse, sweating a lot or, having some adverse effects because of the weather, that doesn't look like that's going to be a situation. Also, Bob Baffert's been quoted as saying this week that he hopes they water the track and make it a little tighter. Last year, he had 2 horses. Neither one of them won. He thought the track was a little bit loose. And obviously, he wants a track to be tighter to favor speed more for Charlatan. It'll be interesting to see how quick the track plays. Also, they have kickback there once in a while. The kickback is not too bad. It's maybe worse in Dubai than it is in Saudi Arabia. But obviously, if there's a lot of kickback and you'd have to watch some of the races before the Saudi Cup, that's going to hurt horses that are in behind horses for obvious reasons. You're going to get kickback in your face, and some horses, especially horses that are usually on turf, are not going to react real well to the kickback if there is kickback. So we'll just have to see how that develops. So there's the field. Now, the first thing I want to do for everyone is show you, we're talking about 20 minutes for the Saudi Cup, is show you the current odds. Now, this is something that I like to do a lot, especially when there's horses coming in from Europe and whatnot. This is Odds Checker. This is a general betting site in Europe. And what you see, these are the current odds right now as we speak. They have anti-post betting in Europe, which means you can bet on this race all this week, unlike they have here in the United States. They only have that in the United States for, the big races like the Breeders' Cup and the Kentucky Derby, etc. But in Europe, they have it all the time. So you see right now, depending on if you use William Hill or whatnot, Charlatan's anywhere from 7-4 to 6-4, prohibitive favorite. And you can just go down the list there. K-Nix Go is a clear second choice, and somewhere around 2 to 1-ish. And then you have to go on to Mishrif, and who's at 7, and then everyone else is double digits. So I like to look at this for a few reasons, because the European bettors obviously know the European horses better than we do. And of course, we're more partial to the American bettors, the American horses. So I think it's really important to look at this, especially if you're not real sure about how to, the talent of the European horses, or really more importantly, what the European bettors think of their horses. Our American horses, of course, are going to be bet, and they're going to be overbet. Now, Charlatan and K-Nix Go, everyone agrees are the 2 top choices in this race. They both, of course, have to be American horses. There are other American horses in this race that I'll talk about briefly. To be very honest, I'm not really a big fan of any of them. And that's why I'm going to play some trifectas in this race, trying to beat some of the other American horses underneath, because I think they're going to be overbet in the American pools. So that's my general feeling on that. So those are the current odds right now. I'm going to take you through a few horses here. We're not going to go through every single horse. I do have also the DRF just today, actually tonight, only about a few hours ago, put out the
you just got to turn it off.
the forum there for the DRF. So just to let you know, Jim and Susan, who's on right now, if you guys could turn your mute buttons on just so we don't hear any background noise, I'd really appreciate it. And if you guys have some questions, we'll get to you along with other people. So again, if you folks can turn your mute buttons on, that would be fantastic. So you see Chua Warrior, who is the 4 horse, actually has the rail. So of course, the way the DRF works, of course, this is in post position order. This is the 1 horse coming in from Japan. You've got Bangkok from Ireland, who's mainly a synthetic horse. Great Scott coming from Great Britain. There's Max Player, who has Rispoli on, who's of course an American horse. You've got K-Nix Go. Trish Smith, are you there? Trish Smith. Trish Smith, can we hear you? And Trish Smith is joining. Trish, thanks for joining us. I can't hear you right now, but she's another player from the, a person who enjoys watching the Matt Bernier show and has been on the show. Trish, thanks for joining us tonight. K-Nix Go, who's going to be second choice. You got Global Giant, Tacitus, we all know Tacitus, and Sleepy Eyes Todd. Of course, Charlaton's going to be the big favorite in this race. Military Law, who's an interesting horse I'm going to talk about. Simsir, big long shot. Mishrif, who's a horse I'm very interested in. We're going to talk about him. And then you have Derevo, Extra Elusive, Kerry Blanco, some big long shots in this race. The first horse that I want to talk about is Military Law. And I'm going to watch some replays. Hopefully these replays are going to work out well for you. So Military Law, who's the 10 horse, is going to be probably, after the first two, one of the horses that's going to be bet quite a bit. He's a 6-year-old. What we're going to do is take a look at his last race. This horse has raced on dirt, so he has that advantage, which is definitely a good advantage for him. And I'm going to go ahead and fast forward. In this race, he's coming out of the 2-hole. So when you watch, I'm going to pause this. This is his last race. He's coming out of the 2-hole, although his number's not 2. There's a few things I like about Military Law. Let me turn down the volume here. Again, he's the 7. He has tactical speed. That's a big advantage on these tracks for sure. And this is a 1-turn mile and 1/8 race. I'm talking about the Dubai Cup now. The Saudi Cup on Saturday is a mile and 1/8 and is a 1-turn mile and 1/8 race. But you see, Military Law is very comfortable. Now, he gets a fantastic trip. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward. He obviously can take some dirt. He hits an absolute dream trip on the inside. I'm just going to let this run for another 30 seconds here. This horse also raced in Dubai last year on their dirt. So he has dirt experience. I don't think he's the quality of the top 2, but he has, like I said, as you see, he gets a really nice ride here. He angles out. He's going to have to win this race. This is the Al Maktoum Challenge round 1. So this is round 1 of 3 races they have in Dubai to prep for the Dubai World Cup. And he obviously goes on, he runs well. I don't think he's the class, obviously, of Charlatan and K-Nix Go, but of all the foreign runners, he's going to take a lot of money. You can see he can handle the dirt, and he runs on nicely and gets a nice victory there to win that race. So I think Military Law is definitely interesting underneath. I'm not using him to win because I don't see how he chases the speed and goes by the top 2 Americans. But I think he's definitely interesting to be somewhere in the money. The next horse that I want to talk about is the horse that's going to be breaking from the rail. And that is going to be Chula Wizard, who's the 4. Chula Wizard is a Japanese horse who's made a ton of money. The purses in Japan are outstanding, and I'll show you the past performances too also. This horse definitely handles dirt. He's already a 6-year-old. I think he's made like $4 million. And we're just going to watch bits and pieces. This is one of the best races that he ran. This is the Champions Cup that qualified him in. He's the 11 horse in the green cap in this race. Again, we're not going to watch the whole thing, but he also doesn't. So right here, I'm just going to freeze it right here. Actually, I'll let it go a little bit. He is the 11 horse, and you can see my cursor, sort of middle of the pack there in the green cap. So he's not a speed horse. He's sort of a middle of the pack horse. But one thing you'll notice about this horse, and again, he is right here. You can see the middle of the screen there where my cursor is. One thing about him is he does have the ability to close. He is tactical. He can take dirt in his face. I don't know if you can tell by the video, but the dirt racing in Hong Kong and Japan has a lot of kickback, like a ridiculous amount of kickback. I have no idea, why the tracks are like that. I don't know why they don't water the tracks more, etc. Maybe there's an issue with the soil. I don't know. But again, he's right there. He's at the edge of the screen there. But he's definitely able to handle kickback. Again, I don't think he classes up. I think he's slower than the best Americans. But of the Other than the top two, I think he's going to take some money. Now, the rail's not necessarily good on this race on Saturday. Again, it will depend on how much kickback he gets. And he might want to be, away from horses. He gets shuffled back. There's a lot of issues they can have from the inside. But what I do like, and he's right here, is you're going to see he doesn't have an explosive move, but he's a grinder. He keeps coming. He's won a ton of races, like I said, in Japan. He beat Cristobal a few times. This two horse, is a very nice horse in Japan who's won millions of dollars also. So this horse has class in Japan. Again, how is he going to stack up to the horses in this race? It's a little hard to say, but I do like him over several other foreign runners. Now, the horse that I'm keying on, the horse I really like a lot, other than the top two, of course, that I want to talk about, and I want to show you two replays, is Mishrif. Mishrif is the 11 horse in this race. I am very interested in Mishrif in all spots in the trifecta. I'll show you my ticket in a little bit. First of all, he's only 4 years old. I like that a lot. He's got big upside. The rider, David Egan, is the first call rider for Prince Faisal, and this owner is from Saudi Arabia, so I know he'd love to win this race. He's got a few horses in this race, but I think this is clearly his best choice, his best possibility. He's only 4, and he's got a ton of class. Now, he has one race on dirt only, and I'm going to show you that race a little bit. He ran on this track last year in the restricted 3-year-old race a year ago and finished second. Now, it was not a tremendous field, and the horse that beat him has not come back and done great things. But when I show you the replay a little bit, you'll see why I like him. And I like a horse that has a race over the track for sure. But last year, as a 3-year-old, he was in some serious Grade 1 turf races. He was one of the best 3-year-old turf horses in Europe last year. And so I don't think they'd run him in this race if they didn't think that he could compete. I think if things work out well, I think he has an outside shot to win if there's if there's a lot of speed. And I definitely think he has a shot to be in the money. So there's two races that I want to show you very briefly, because we have a lot of things we want to get to. He's going to be the 5 in this race, and he's going to be in that maroon color. This was the French Derby last year, Grade 1 or Group 1. It was a big field. Of course, it was on turf. And what I like, and he's going to be breaking 3rd from the outside. So he breaks well. He's going to have to break well on Saturday. You can't break slow in this race. This is a longer race. This is mile and 5/16. You can see he's right there off the speed and behind horses. Again, I'm going to fast forward. He's just right behind the speed again. And I'm going to let you to Australia. If you remember, Order of Australia, excuse me, Order of Australia won the Breeders' Cup Mile at huge odds last year. So right here, he's going to blow by Order of Australia as one of the horses that he beat. Order of Australia is back here in, I believe, 6th in the purple there. So that to me was an extremely impressive move that I like a lot. Now, the other race I want to show you briefly about Mishrif is, and I got to go switch to a different screen here. So hold on one second. That's not what I want. Hold on one second here. So I'm going to show you last year's Saudi Derby. Now, this was the race that he ran in last year. Oh, hold on one second. Sorry. Got to go back. Press the wrong button. So last year when he ran this race, obviously he was a very young 3-year-old. He wasn't nearly as good as he is now. And I don't know if we're going to be able to go back and see it. I'm trying to go back here. It's thinking. Anyway, if we don't have a chance to see it, I will tell you that he broke really slow. He broke like 3 lengths slow, and then he rushed up and he took a lot of dirt on the inside and had it finished with a very good second. So I like that about him. Let's see if I can, here we go. Let me see if I can, should be right here. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. I pressed the wrong button. Okay, sorry about that. Here we go. Okay. Sorry about the ad. It'll end in a few seconds here. All right, so Mishriff in this race, again, this is 1 year ago pretty much today. He breaks from the 12 hole, so he's third from the outside in the maroon again. Watch how slow he breaks. Again, he's a much better horse now. I mean, wow. He breaks, I don't know, 5 lengths slow. He's in last. I'll let you see that again. If he does this Saturday, he's got no chance. But you can see he really broke slow there. He's in last right now. And I'm going fast forward. Right now he's on the outside in the maroon on the outside there. And he's able to show some speed and actually get in position on the turn. And on the turn, you can see now he's already here. He's already in 5th. I'm just let you watch. He's right here. And I'll move my cursor out of the way. You can see you can see how much kickback there is, by the way. This is the same track they're running on Saturday. Takes a lot of dirt, but he's in 4th right now. Once he angles out, though, and sort of gets away from the kickback, and he's on the wrong lead also, but once he angles out, he keeps running, and he closes for a nice second. Now, considering he was last at the break and gave up 5 lengths, you have to give this horse extra credit for this. He's a much better horse now. This race was way too short. This was only a mile, and the race on Saturday is a mile and 1/8. And there you go. He's finishing second by 2 lengths. That's a monstrous effort. He didn't get the fastest, time, etc. But again, he's a much better horse, and if he breaks, I think he's got a big shot. So I really like Mishriff underneath. So I'm going to just quickly show you the past performances here as we sort of wrap up this race. So Mishriff, again, on the outside, you see he's got time form ratings in the 120, 116. Now this last race, which was poor considering, you got to take a few things into consideration. First of all, it was really soft that day at Ascot. This was the Kipo Champion Stakes. This was against older horses. You can see Magical, if you know Magical, is a very good European horse. So this is against older horses, and look at the odds. This horse was 4-1 against older horses in one of their biggest races they have over there in a field of 10. And John Godson, who's the trainer, he's one of the best trainers in the world, said he hated that turf course. I'm just throwing that out completely. But if you see, this is a progressive 4-year-old who probably wants to go a little bit further. You can see he ran a 1:01 time form in that race we just watched. And look how much he improved during the year. I'm not worried about the layoff. The European horses can come back and run big. Godson said this horse is easy to train. I'll take his word for it. Again, I really like Mishriff quite a bit in this race. So just to get some more people involved here, and we have Jim and Trish Smith. Thanks for joining, and Susan. Just want to hear your opinions. Assuming Charlatan is the favorite, is there you can go ahead and turn your mics off if you'd like, so I'd like to have a little give and take here. If someone was to put a win bet on Charlatan, what is the lowest price you would take on Charlatan as a win bet? I will start off by saying I'm not going to play a win bet on Charlatan, but for me, I would not take anything lower than 2-1 personally, only because K-Nix Go is a pretty darn good horse, and I'm not 100% sure mile and 1/8 is going to be Charlatan's best distance. But Jim, I see you have your mic off. Thanks for joining us. Jim's from Buffalo. Jim, what's the lowest price you would take on Charlatan as a win bet?
I agree with you, Howard. I actually had Charlatan as a future bet last year for the Derby before it was knocked off the Derby trail. But I was getting a little bit nervous about the future bet. I'm not sure if distance is Charlatan's friend. I'm a little concerned about the mile and 1/8. I think K-Nix Go is a better bet. For me to go to Charlatan, I would probably need 5-2 or better.
Interesting.
I'm not planning to put Charlatan on top. I just think the horse is going to be a tremendous underlay. I think maybe the Baffert magic is contributing to the low odds. And
now, when you say magic, are you trying to insinuate something else,
well,
or just that he's a really good trainer?
I am an old harness guy, so
okay.
There's a little suspicion. You have to
From what I understand, yeah.
Charlatan did have some issues at Oaklawn last year, so I'm a little suspicious of Charlatan. I think that maybe the way to play the race is to try to beat Charlatan.
Interesting.
If Charlatan's gonna beat you and be 3-2, the horse beats me.
Okay.
I think there's value in K-Nix Go and some of the Europeans underneath.
Interesting. Trish Smith, if you can hear me, I'd love for you to turn your mic off and join in the conversation. have you, Trish, is there an odds that you would limit yourself to if you wanted to bet on Charlton Saturday? I don't know if Trish is there. Trish, are you there? Or Susan, are you there? Okay, we might be having some, they might be having some issues, or they might not want to hop on. That's totally okay. Jim, it's interesting because I look at this race a little bit different than you do. And I'm going to talk about that right now. So here's my general feeling on the race as a whole. I'm not sure if Charlton wants to go, mile and a quarter, but I think a mile and eighth is absolutely in his scope. I mean, he showed it obviously last year at Oklahoma. Now he got away on an easy lead there. You can see on the PPs in one of the divisions of the Arkansas Derby. He just ran very well. I have a hard time believing this horse is not going to be able to get the distance. He's out of Quiet American, Speightstown. The horse that I'm actually a little bit against, Jim, and anyone else is listening, is actually K-Nix Go. And I'm going to explain why. So K-Nix Go is obviously, first of all, he's an unbelievable form. There's no argument there. You can see his buyers are huge. He's wiring the fields. He looks like a monster. I have a few things I don't like about K-Nix Go to win the race. Number one, he was not really pointed to this race. This was a little bit of an afterthought. He was doing so well that they decided to send him out there. When you look at and I'm certain, hopefully everyone can see on their screen, on the bottom there, this horse was working like an absolute freight train for the Pegasus. Since then, and Brad Cox is an outstanding trainer. I'm sure he's got him ready, but he was really cranked for that race for the Pegasus. Since then, he's only one published work. And I think they've tried to sort of take it easy on him a little bit because he's coming off of 2 hard races. I'm not sure that's going to work out well for him. The other thing I personally believe is Charlton's going to be breathing down his neck at some point. And if Charlton goes by K-Nix Go, like I think he will, there's something in my gut that tells me K-Nix Go might fade pretty badly, even to possibly out of the money. So my opinion of the race in general is I think Charlton is almost, I wouldn't say a cinch to win, but I think Charlton would be very tough to beat. I would never put a win bet on there. I'm going to show you the bet that I'm going to make. And I'm hoping K-Nix Go phase the third or is out of the money. And I want Mishriff to run. So in generally speaking, I need Charlton to run well, which I think he will. I need Mishriff to get in the money. And I'm hoping K-Nix Go does not run well. That's my general opinion of the race. So what I would like to do now is show everyone my personal play in this race. And feel free, again, you can use my trifecta. You could say Howard's full of crap. I don't agree with him at all and not use it, whatever. So what I have here written down, by the way, they do have 50-cent trifectas. Let me repeat that. They do have, according to DRF, you can bet 50-cent trifectas in this race. My general opinion is I'm going to try to get Mishriff in the money in all spots. I would highly doubt Mishriff is going to be 6-1 in the American pools. I just have a hard time believing that a European horse who's mainly been on turf, people in the United States are going to bet this horse as third choice. I think this horse drifts to double digits. And I think a horse that's been on dirt like the Japanese horse or maybe Military Law or even maybe a Tacitus or even probably not Max Player, but maybe Tacitus will be single digits. And I think Mishra, at least I'm hoping, will get a little bit lost in the American betting. So you see I have 3 plays there. And generally speaking, Mishra has to be in the money for me. Now, if you guys think that Charlton and K-Nix Go are going to finish 1-2 or the other way around, it's really not worth making a bet in this race. You might as well just watch the race and enjoy it because you're not going to get paid. And horse racing is all about value. So I'm looking for value in this race, and I'm going to use Mishriff in all spots. I'm going to play $1 try. So my least likely outcome, in my opinion, is Mishriff winning the race. So I'm going to Mishriff on top. And I'm going to use the 2 Americans, Charlton, of course, and K-Nix Go. And then I'm going to throw in Military Law in for second. And then you can see all my horses in for third. Again, you guys, I'm not going to name off all the horses, but I will say I'm not using Sleepy Eyes Todd at all. I don't think this horse is a mile and eighth horse. I don't like him. So that's the 1 American that I'm not using. There's also a lot of European horses that have absolutely no business being in this race. I think you can throw out pretty much half the field. My big play, and I'm playing it for $5 probably on Saturday. When I say my big play, it's the one that I'm spending the most money on. It's not that big, of course. Is I think Charlatan is going to win the race, and I'm really hoping to get Mishref in for second, along with some other bombs in for third. So if Charlatan, I think, is going to be in the American pools, I'm guessing he's going to be 6-5, maybe even money. But if I can get even money over 12-1, over 14-1, that's going to pay. Because if you get, especially if K-Nix Go is out of the money. Now, if you notice, I don't have K-Nix going for second. There's no reason to play a trifecta with Charlatan on top and K-Nix Go in second. That makes no sense from a betting perspective. If you really think it's going to happen that way, then play like a larger exacta just straight. But there's no reason, in my opinion, to play a try with those two horses first and second. My other try, as you see on the bottom, is Charlatan winning, K-Nix Go out of the money completely. So K-Nix Go not in second, and Mishref getting third. So basically, if Charlatan wins, and if Mishref is in the money, I have a great chance of winning this bet. And I think both those things are very possible. Obviously, Charlatan's going to run unless something weird happens. And I really think if Mishref breaks and he runs the best he can, I think he can close well and maybe get second, if not third, and maybe somehow max player, someone goes with max player, or Charlatan just sends out there and not max player. Someone goes with K-Nix Go, and K-Nix Go just isn't quite the same as he was in the States, and it's out of the money. So in general, that's my opinion there on the $20 million Saudi Cup. Before we get to Laurel, I'd like to open it up to, again, to Jim, Susan. Trish, your mic is off, so if you guys want to speak, feel free. Any general thoughts from either one of you three? Jim, we'll start with you about the race in general, or how you might play it from a betting perspective.
Howard, I think I agree with you that there's very little value in coupling Charlatan and K-Nix Go. So you have to make a stand and choose one or the other. And I think we're going to be probably butting heads a bit. My bet will be relatively similar to yours. I'll have K-Nix Go in the 1 and 2 spot, and hope that Charlatan's off the ticket. Best luck to whichever one of us is correct in our assumption. I'm usually a Baffert fan. A little disappointed last year in how he performed. I know he blamed the track a bit with the loose track, but I'm hoping that maybe the Saudi races just aren't his cup of tea. Brad Cox has been so hot, and the horse is just so sharp.
Yeah.
And I just think that speed may hold. I don't know if Charlatan's a chaser. So I'm still going to take the stand against Charlatan, even though I loved the horse last year. And it'll be an interesting race to watch. But again, I completely agree. You've got to split them. There's no value in having them run 1-2,
right.
or even 1-3 may be tough.
So I call it, and you listen to a lot of, if you read a lot of handicapping books, it's called a chalk splitter, where you're going to split the chalks. There's, again, no reason to play them 1 and 2. I hear everything you're saying, Jim. You might absolutely be right. I'm not worried about Charlatan rating. He did rate off of a pretty good horse in Nashville and absolutely blew the doors off him.
Absolutely.
And I don't think they're going to send, only because I don't think they just want to get in a crazy speed duel. I think they know he's the best. I think Charlatan's going to be sitting not too far off, though. I think he'll just be, maybe a length off him. It'll make a big move on the turn. And then, it could be, if these two horses go ding dong to the wire and I lose my trifecta bet, I'm okay with that. I'm not playing a ton in this race. But that would be, if they throw it down in the stretch, that would be absolutely unbelievable.
Well, I maybe use a backup now, using your advice, using Charlatan and eliminating K-Nix Go on a ticket is a little bit of a saver to get the money back I put into the race.
Yeah, now the good thing about your bet, Jim, is if Charlatan doesn't run well, it's going to pay huge. I don't care who comes in, because Charlatan, everyone's going to have a Charlatan in every trifecta spot, especially first and second. So I don't usually like to key a big favorite on top, but I'm only doing it here because I think you can get value underneath. So I think it's actually worth it.
Excellent.
Susan and Trish, again, I see that you're here. Do you have any comments or want to chime in? And if not, that's fine. Trish, again, your mic is still off, so I'm assuming you ladies are there. But we'll just go ahead and continue on. So Jim, you're gonna get a lot of voice play. Good for you. You'll represent Buffalo tonight. We appreciate it. So let's talk about the Laurel Races. Now, the Laurel Races on Saturday, I'm sure they're going to run, first of all. Secondly, these races were supposed to be last week, and they got backed up to this week. So I'm going to briefly go through the 2 graded stake races, and then there's a few replays and things I want to show you in the other stakes races that I think will be of interest of bettors out there. And then at the end, I'm going to show you my ABC Pick 5 ticket for Laurel on Saturday, and also my Caveman ticket. I'm not playing any other races in Saudi Arabia on Saturday. To be honest, I don't want to take the time to look through all the Euros, and most of these horses are not Americans, although Channel Maker, by the way, is running on Saturday. There is one other thing I want to mention about Mishrif. And again, I could be very wrong, folks. So if Mischief runs up the track, I'll just, so be it. There's 2 races on Saturday on turf. There's $1 million race and a $2.5 million race. My thought a little bit here is if John Godson really thinks this horse is that much better on turf, wouldn't he just run him on turf? I mean, there's nothing wrong with $1 million and a $2.5 million turf race. Obviously, it's not a $20 million purse. But because there were 2 other turf races and he's choosing to run this horse on dirt, another reason why I'm going to take a chance with Mishrif. And I'm hoping I get double-digit odds on him on Saturday. So let's jump into the Laurel Races. Now, the Laurel Races, there's 2 stake races that are graded. We're going to look at those first. Give me a chance to maneuver my... So the first race we're going to look at is race 7. This is the Barbara Fritchie 7 furlong sprint race. And it's for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. This is in the middle of the, 4-year-olds and up. This is in the middle of the pick 4. To me, this is really a 2-horse race. I don't know a lot to say about this race. It's an 8-horse field. I'm just going to slowly scroll through the fields. You can see about Sharp Star on the rail, Club Car. There's a lot of speed here, and don't let Sweet Fulia there. Estilo Talentoso. Again, I'm just going to scroll through very quick so you have an idea of who's in the race, and Hello Beautiful. I'm not real creative in this race on top. I think Hello Beautiful is tons the class. You see she's got a 123 early pace figure. What I try to do is I try to see how the race is going to develop. And I think the speed is probably the 3 here. But if you see this 3 has been an allowance company, and then some cheaper races at Laurel, although they were stake races, where she's just wiring the field. But she's been doing it at 6 furlongs. If the 3 catches a flyer and somehow the 8, Hello Beautiful, who's the other main speed, does not get out of the gate or something weird happens, I could absolutely see the 3 wiring the field. But I'm concerned about 2 things with the 3. Number 1, the favorite's going to be breathing down her neck. And number 2, the distance is an issue. Distance is not going to be an issue with Hello Beautiful. And the other horse I like in this race is the 1 Sharp Star for Alex Citron, who obviously distance not an issue. She's been very sharp right now. She just had a bullet at Belmont. I think she's ready to rock and roll, and she should sit the absolute dream trip behind the speeds. So in terms of on top, I'm using Sharp Star and Hello Beautiful equally in my ABC. I'm using the 3 as a B horse in case she gets loose. I might actually downgrade her. I'm not sure. I have to see how the track is playing. The 1 horse I'm interested in, though, a little bit as a B horse, so to get the money, is the 4. Estilo Talentoso. I like turnbacks a lot. This horse has been obviously slower. You see the buyers in the 78s and then jumped up to 85, 83. This horse is going to have to raise her game, but I like the fact that she's getting away from the Florida tracks, which tend to be speed favoring. She faced a good horse in Lucky Stride. I don't think she wants to go this far. I think she's going to be further off the pace than her PP suggests. And if this race falls apart for some reason, I think Estilo Talentoso, if she takes to the track, is the horse that I'm a little bit interested in as a B horse for sure, maybe a C. The other horse I would use defensively as a C is Club Car. just because Club Card's in very good form, but she seems too slow to me. So I'm basically going 1-8 in this race. Maybe upgrade the 3 depending on the track, but I really don't think she's going to get the distance. I think she's going to get pace pressure, and the 4 would have been a long shot in race 7. Again, at the end of the show here, I'll show you all my picks, so you don't have to write stuff down necessarily if you don't want to. Race 8, this is the other feature. This is the General George. It's a grade 3, again, 7 furlongs for older horses, 4 and up, 250,000. This has been a real nice race over the years. I will say I don't think this year's edition really came up that strong, in my opinion. The question you have to ask yourself is, what are you going to do with Funny Guy, who I don't think you're going to get 9 to 5. I think this horse can be more like 6 to 5 or 7 to 5. Funny Guy to me is a bit of an in and outer, and I'll just say flat out, I am not using this horse as an A. It might be a mistake. That's fine. I make mistakes all the time. I think there's other interesting horses in this race. And you see the last 2 races, this horse was 4 to 5 in restricted, in 2 restricted races, 1 for state breds, 1 restricted. 1 he just barely won over My Boy Tate, who's a decent enough horse. And the other, he lost at 4 to 5. And you can see he's a bit of an in and outer right now. Now, he's been training steadily since. He has not raced at Laurel either. He obviously classes up, and the distance is fine. I just don't think he's any lead pipe cinch. There's other horses I like. I'm using this horse as a B in my ticket. If he wins, so be it. I'm going to go ahead and scroll through the field. You got Lockie on the inside, who, again, I don't think wants to go 7. I think this horse is better going 6. You have Lebda. There's a replay I'm going to show you. Majestic Dunhill, I think, is very interesting. That's a name that people probably know because he's been very classy in his career. You have a bomb there. Share the Ride, also a nice horse. Informative. Arthur's Hope. Chili in Charge. That's your hunch play if you live in cold weather right now. And then Tattooed. So let me talk about the horses that I like as A's. I like Majestic Dunhill. First of all, this horse got a ton of back class. He used to be a dead closer, but he found more tactical speed at Belmont over the fall. Now, these last 2 races need to be mentioned. The fall high weight, I remember the race because I bet him at like 6 to 1. He was really fidgety in the gate. He just did not look comfortable. He didn't break well. The race was over before it started. Then he went down to Gulfstream, sort of a quick turnaround, only 3 weeks later, which I did not like. Again, Sleepy Eyes Todd in a very good race. And again, I'll just show you the start of Majestic Dunhill. I think it's worth looking at the start. Majestic Dunhill is the 5 in this race. Again, we're not going to watch the whole race. But if you just watch you see he's already fidgety a little bit again. He breaks okay, but then you'll see he's right there. He breaks okay, but then he's bumped on both sides. And again, he's sort of in last, and he just didn't run his race. So here's my logic on using this horse. This horse has a ton of back class. I don't think Funny Guy has to win. If he breaks and gets into a reasonable spot, I see no reason why he can't win this race. He's been working steadily down in Florida. I think he'll take to the colder weather. He's run up in cold weather before. So I think he still can run. I love George Weaver, and I like the price. So I'm using Majestic Dunhill as an A, but this horse has to break. I will say that. He's not going to win from last on Saturday. The other horse I'm going to use as an A is Share the Ride, and I'm going to show you a replay in a minute. Share the Ride is a very nice 6-year-old, won 400,000. He can get the distance. He's got tactical speed. You see early time form of 109. I want to show you a race that a lot of these horses come out of. This is the Fire Plug last month on January 16th at Laurel. There's 4 horses that come out of this race: Share the Ride, Lebda, Lockie, and Arthur's Hope. So keep those horses in mind as you watch the replay. They're all running Saturday. Again, the 2, 5, 6, and 7. Share the Ride is the 5. Again, 2, 5, 6, 7 is what you want to watch here. I'm going to let the race run through a little bit. Share the Ride is the 5. breaks perfectly fine. He ends up getting a good trip in this race. So there's really not too much to watch in terms of trips. But I just want to show you the 6 is Lebda, who's also in this race. Share the Ride now is in between horses, which is an angle. I don't like that. So that's not ideal. But he looks pretty comfortable. He's rating. Lebda goes to the front there. And now Share the Ride, again, is in a comfortable spot, just tracking. The 7 is also in the race on Saturday, Arthur's Hope. And you see Share the Ride now is getting a good trip, 3 wide, picks up the pace. Again, the 2 is also in this race on Saturday. And he splits horses here. He's getting a very good trip, again, like I said. But he easily beats the other 4. Again, 6, 2, and 7 are in this race also. The horse that runs him down is going to be the horse on the outside here. I'll just let you watch it. The horse on the outside is Wendell Fong. Wendell Fong is a very nice sprinter. So I like the effort. It's a, you could make the argument you should have won the race. Okay. But I think Wendell Fong is just as good as Funny Guy, if not even better. So to me, if things work out well, he's 3-1 morning line. He's going to be second choice. So I'm going 4, 6 as my A's. I'm going to go, there's Lebda again, who's in this race. I'm going Funny Guy as a B. The other horse I'm a little interested in this race as a B is Chilean Charge, because I like the fact that his buyers keep going up. You see the buyers are going up 83, 87, 89. He's progressing. He's ran this track twice. He ran perfectly well enough last year on this track. And if this thing gets heated up front, which it might, then I like Chilean Charge quite a bit as a closer in this race. So I think Chilean Charge is very interesting at a price. He's 12-1 morning line. And if there is a dead closer in this race, it could be Chilean Charge. Another price you might want to look at is Tattooed. He's also been in some longer races. He's turning back. He's also a closer. So I think it could get heated up front. And if you like a closer in this race, other than Majestic Dunhill, I think Chilean Charge, again, hunch play, if you're in cold weather right now, is a very interesting horse in the General George. I see Lamar is here. Lamar, thanks for joining us. I see you're on. If you want to, we have your mic on right now. I don't know if you want to turn your mic off and say hello and tell us where you're from. How you doing, Lamar?
How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm Howard. Nice to meet you. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. How you doing, Howard? I'm from Kentucky, man. I'm from Frankfort, Kentucky.
Okay. I heard the weather's crap there too. How much snow did you get up there or down there?
We got about 3 inches.
Okay. You're lucky.
Yeah, but that's 3 inches on top of probably about 2 inches of ice, though.
For sure. Now you're right by Turfway, right?
Keeneland.
Oh, Keeneland. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah,
I was at Keeneland for the first time ever 2 years ago. Actually, you probably can't see. I'm representing my Keeneland shirt there. What an unbelievable place, man! If I lived where you were, I'd be going to Keeneland like all the time.
Yeah. But they only had spring and fall, so.
Right.
You're right.
Well, Lamar, thanks for joining us. We're going to go ahead and continue. Just go ahead and leave your mic off, then we'll have a Q&A at the end. We just finished one of Laurel's races there, race 8. We're going to talk about some other races within the stake races that I think that are interesting and some replays. I want to go to race 3 for a second. And the reason I want to go to race 3 is because this is one of my best plays of the entire day at Laurel. It's in race 3. This is not part of the pick 5, but there's a horse I absolutely love in this race, and it's the 1, Tis Mandate. Now, this is a restricted 3-year-old race, the Miracle Wood. It's 100,000. It's a mile race. I don't think I'm going to get 10-1 in this race. It is only a 7-horse field. But here's what I want everyone to notice about this race. When you go down the PPs, look how much speed is in this race. You got New Year's Block Party, 100, early time form U.S. pace. You got the King Cheek, 108. You got May the Horse Be With You, and I'm going to show you a replay, who's got 110 early. Again, anything over 100 is speed. Kenny Had a Notion, 107. Silent Service knows nothing, just everything's got to be speed there. And plus he's only been going 6 and 6.5. This horse has got a 127 early time for him. And then you got the Chad Brown horse, who seems to be better up front, although I'm sure he can close a little bit. Here's what I'm trying to tell everyone. I think this horse definitely sets up for a closer, and I think the close you won is Tis Mandate. Now, I want to show you a replay, and this is why I enjoy handicapping, especially if it works out for me. So Tis Mandate, the one, was in the same race with May the Horse Be With You and Kenny Had a Notion. Both these horses on top here, you see in the results here, are in this race on Saturday, and they both were favored over Tis Mandate. Now they've got to deal with more speed. So I want you to watch this replay. It's subtle, but it's important. So again, Tis Mandate's the 4. You've got Kenny Had a Notion and May the Horse Be With You as the 6 and 8. And I'm not going to show the whole race, but what I want you to notice is the pace situation of this race. The 6 and 8, May the Horse Be With You and Kenny's Had a Notion, go 1-2 around the track. There was not a lot of speed in this race. In fact, if you're a visual player, you can sort of tell they're just not really going that fast. The 6 is very comfortable with a monster hold. By the way, the 4, the 1, is all the way back in last. Keep that in mind, where the horse I like, he's in last. They are crawling up front. Kenny Had a Notion, May the Horse Be With You, are getting as easy and soft trips as you could possibly have. You say they went 23, nice and comfortable. Again, the 4 horse, who's the 1 that I like a lot on Saturday, is back here. I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward a little bit. Again, these horses are head and head, and the 4 really hasn't made his move yet. They go 46 and 2 very comfortably, and the 6 and 8 are going to finish 1-2. The first time the 4 even asked was at the top of the stretch. You could see he's legitimate, like, I'd say 5-6 lanes back. As the 6 and 8 just go on with it, no one's really doing any closing at all until you watch at the end when the 4 does make a move, although it was subtle, and you're going to see him crawl up into the picture here as 6 and 8 just go on with it. And the 4, there he is. He only loses by, about 2.5 lengths. He was the only one in this race that did any closing whatsoever in a race that favored speed. And just to prove my point, in case you don't really believe me, if you look at the incremental pace, if you look at the final quarters right here under this FIM, this is the final 1/8 of the race, not the final quarter. You see Tis Mandate finish in 12.06, a lot faster, comparatively speaking, to the 2 horses that were up front. He closed by far the fastest of anyone in this race at 12.06. So here's what I'm saying in general about this race. I think Tis Mandate. Now, I'm not a big fan of the rail. I'm not a big fan of the rail going a mile at Laurel. Even though it's a very long run, sometimes they can get shuffled back. But it's a small field. This horse got plenty of time to come around. You see this horse is improving. He has a really nice work stint, 2nd out of 41, and there's a ton of speed in this race. I love Tis Mandate. I'm definitely putting a win bet on this horse if he's, I'd say, 5-1 or higher. I'm going to use him in other exotics. And if I'm wrong, you can blame me on Sunday or the comment section. But I think it's very interesting. I see Richard has joined us. Richard, I know that your mic is off. Richard, would you like to say hello and turn your mic off and tell us where you're from? Richard, are you there? Again, if you're not familiar with Zoom, again, guys, feel free to make some comments also. You can chat down below. There's a chat button, and I'll open up the chat if you don't want to come on and talk. So Richard, I'm assuming you can hear me, but your mute button is on, so we cannot hear you. But thanks for joining us tonight. We greatly appreciate it. So that's my thought on Tis Mandate. So I'm going to give you guys a chance to be contrarians. Am I crazy? Do you not like what you saw? Or would anyone like to comment verbally with your microphone on about Tis Mandate or this race in general? Any thoughts? All right. We have a lot of people are shy, don't want to go out on a limb. That's okay. I like Tis Mandate. Let's go ahead and move on because there's other races we got to talk about. And I know it's 10 o'clock out east. Again, thanks for joining us. In the 4th race, I want to show you one replay. And actually, I'm not going to, we're going to skip the replay right now. In the 4th race, my top choices, actually, this is not part of the pick 5. So these are older horses. I will say, as a long shot, I like Forewarned a little bit. The 4. There's a decent amount of speed in this race. He's a closer. It's not one of my like plays of the day, but I think Forewarned, the 4 horse in the 4th race, is a little bit interesting. The favorites definitely can be Bank It. And this is another New York bred who I don't think has to win on Saturday, just like Funny Guy. I don't know where his race came from last time. I bet this horse a ton of times. He always seems to disappoint. Then last year time he ran a big race. I don't think he has to win this race though on Saturday. So I'm a little bit against Bank It also at 8-5. Now let's get to the other 2 stake races in the pick 5 sequence, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. So race 5. This is a mile and 16th. This is 2 turns for older fillies and mares. This is the Nellie Morris 100,000. This, folks, this begins the pick 5 sequence. If you like pick 5s, this is the beginning of the 50-cent pick 5 at Laurel on Saturday. And as I scroll down the PPs here, you're going to see that there's one horse that stands out, and it's at the bottom of the page, or sorry, towards the bottom. That's Lucky Stride. Lucky Stride is my lone A in this race. To me, she's the best closer by far. She's faced the best animals. I see no problem, obviously, with the distance. You see she's paired up 88s. And if you just quickly scroll down the PPs, remember, she's paired up 88s. No one really – you see Wicked Awesome, who's a horse I would use as a B, has some numbers. Again, I'm more of a buyer's guy. There's a lot of different ways to look at things. I understand. This horse can close also. Actually was up against Lucky Stride 2 starts back, but was nowhere to be found in that race. The other horse I'd use as a B would be Lucky Move, the 4 horse. And again, you're going to see all this later on. But to me, and again, you look at the buyers, there's a lot of slower horse in this race. I don't know if there's a lot of speed in this race, but in my opinion, Lucky Stride is by far the horse to beat. I think she closes and wins. She's my lone A in this race. Dreamer's Moon is going to go from the outside, and then from the inside, Landing Zone's going to go. So I think there will be enough speed to set it up. And Gracetown also is going to go. So I think there is enough speed, and I want closers in this race. So I'm going 9 on top with 4-7 underneath. Again, I'll show you all my tickets at the end here. The next race in the sequence, and we're almost finished here, folks. Again, thanks for joining me tonight. Really appreciate it. This is the 7 furlong restricted for 3-year-old fillies. This is the Wide Country. There are some really interesting replays in this race. And these are very unproven, untested 3-year-old fillies. There's some horses that have won by big amounts. You see Salt Page in 9-2 won her last race by 6. So that was a huge win. Again, we're not going to show all the replays. There's 2 main speeds in this race. You got Street Loot, who's 2-1 as the main speed, or one of the main speeds. And the horse that I really, really like is Little Huntress, the 7, is my lone A. Now, she won the last by 14. It's not that she won by 14 because, frankly, the field she faced was nothing impressive. But here's what I like about this horse. First of all, out of Frosted, she's just going to keep getting better. Migdalia d'Oro on the dam side. She has not raced since December. I like that. She's had 2 months to get bigger, stronger, faster. She's been working steadily. And when I watch the visual on this horse, and again, I'm a big replay guy. I like watching visuals. Not only does this horse get the lead, but she's doing it so easily. Again, it's not the competition. You see she was 1-5, but just this horse is in hand the entire way. Just this horse looks like she's got a really high cruising speed. And the other thing is you could say, well, she might bounce. This was 2 months ago. She switches leads professionally. And I only see bigger and better things for this horse. I mean, this is just a gallop. I mean, this is just a workout. And she goes 1:10-4 just walking. And you can see the hands. He hasn't moved a muscle on this horse. I think this horse could be a complete freak. Now, I will say she's going to have to deal with the 5 in this race. So she's going to have to deal with some speed for the first time. But here's my feeling, at least my gut or my hope. I think she's faster than the 5 early. I understand the 5 looks better maybe on paper. But I'm hoping the the 7 is just faster than the 5 and wires the field. I am using the 5 obviously as a B. My only concern about this 7, other than the inexperience, is the 5 might also send, if they get into a speed duel, that's going to be a problem. So as backups, I have the 2 Salt Page as a B, who obviously can close. I'm not going to show you the replay. I'm also going to use Fraudulent Charge for Lacey Gaudette, a very good trainer out there in Maryland. This horse can close. She actually was right there to street loot. So the 3 barely lost to the 5 last time in her last start. So I'm definitely using some closers in this race, but I'm hoping in my ticket, and I might go deeper, by the way, but my gut feeling is if Little Huntress can get loose, which I think she might, depending on what the 5 does. I just think she's could be an absolute monster. So we'll just have to see. That's my feeling on the 6th race. So those are the stake races in the, and I see we have a question in the chat. So Trish, we don't have to show Trish's chat. So Trish wants to know, she wants to know about military law. So Trish, I'm gonna go back and answer your question. Again, when I'm almost done here. Again, this is for everyone that's on right now. Please feel free to go to the chat. It's at the bottom of the screen. Just click chat. Feel free to type in anything you want, and I'll answer any questions you have about the Dubai race, the Saudi Cup or the Laurel races in about 2 minutes here when I'm done. The 9th race, I'm not going to show you replays, but it is the last race of the pick 5. And I just will say, because I want to give you horses that are prices, the 6, Pharaoh's Fury. This is the last race at Laurel, who is 8-1 morning line. That's going to be a pipe dream. First of all, this horse is out of Pharaoh, costs $130,000. And the dam, and this is what I love about DRF Formulator, the dam Rehere, look who the dam is. So the Rehere herself was really nothing special. You see, these are the PPs of the dam Rehere. Really nothing special, only won 22,000, right? But then you go to the siblings of Rehere. These are the horses that Rehere sired, and yet Closing Bell, $560,000, although mainly turf. Here the Ghost, a very nice dirt horse, and Polly won 382,000. Madi Bavan was a really, you can look at these form lines, a very, very fast filly as a 2-year-old, won the Adirondack, won the Spinaway back in 2008. Here's more speed. This horse isn't as talented, but here's what I see when I look at, here's another, more speed on the, from another horse. What I see is just speed over speed. So this Rehere, who wasn't that talented herself, has produced very fast horses early out of Pharaoh. Look at the works, by the way. There's a 48, there's a minute, there's a nice breeze, maintenance breeze, 49. Here's another nice work. This is not a real strong field. You'll have to see. We're not going to know the board until the race happens, but if you bet the pick 5, the 6 to me is extremely interesting as a first-time starter. I also like the 4. So I know I'm talking quickly, and I apologize if I'm rambling. Let me show you my pick 5 tickets, and then I'll take any questions you guys have, again, in the chat below. Please feel free to chat and comment anything you want, and the rest of the time will be a Q&A. So again, all this now will be, everything you see here, of course, you can see replays on. Here is my pick 5 ticket for Laurel. So if you're not familiar with the ABC method, I don't want to take the time to go through the entire ABC ticket maker method. You can certainly look it up for yourself. You can bet through DRF. A's are my top choices, B's are my second best, and C's are my least likely to win, but could win. There's, you see my ABC ticket for the pick 5. It's $117. I think the key to the sequence, I feel very confident about the 9 in the first leg. The 7, Little Mistress. If I'm right about her, that was the serious gray speed horse that won by 14. If I'm right about her, then I've got a lot of horses going forward. Even if I'm wrong about the 7 and the 9 wins the first leg, so if it comes 9 and then 2, 3, or 5, I still have plenty of coverage here. And again, there's Funny Guy as my B in the 8th race. And again, I don't think he has to win. And I've got some long shots. The one there in this, my long shot play that I like a lot, Tis a Mandate, was in race 3. So that's not in the sequence. But here's my ABC ticket. It costs 117. Again, if that's too much and you like this ticket, share with some friends. You need a DRF account to actually bet this ABC ticket using Ticketmaker. If that's all too confusing and you don't know the ABC method, here's a $96 caveman ticket. This is just a straight 50-cent pick 5 ticket. You see I'm 3 by 4 by 2 by 4 by 2. I am using Funny Guy in this sequence because in a caveman I would use this horse. And on the end, I'm using Hemp. And then the 6 is that first-time starter that I talked about that might be a decent price. And here's the thing about pick 5s that I'm assuming many of you know. That first-time starter is 8-1 morning line. If that horse is really good and wins at 3-1, it's going to pay a lot better than 3-1 in the horizontals. That's the great thing about horizontal betting and pick 5s is if you can get a horse that wins at a higher morning line price that people don't know what the price is going to be, you're going to get your parlays are going to go up 2 or 3 times as much playing a horizontal bet. So those are my ABCs. And again, you have to go, my Twitter is at HKravitz, HKRA, V as in victory, E, T as in Tom, S as in Sam. I will send out an updated caveman ticket for sure and any ABC adjustments Saturday morning after I see scratches. So you'll want to go on Twitter and take a look at that. So I'm going to answer Trisha's question in the chat. And there are no other questions on the chat right now, but you can certainly chat some stuff. You can put some stuff in the chat right now. Or if you, of course, you can ask a question live. You can turn your mic off and you can just use your raise hand button or I'll just call on you. I know Lamar and Jim, I can actually see you. So you can just raise your hand if you'd like. Or again, down below, guys, under participants, if you click on participants on the bottom, then you should be able to, there's a raise hand button on the right side that you can actually click on and raise your hand. But let me answer Trisha's question. Again, Trish, thanks for joining. What do I think about military law? So you were not here right at the very beginning. Military law is in the Saudi Cup. Military law is the 10 horse, breaking from the 10 post. Trish, I like military law underneath. I'm not using him in second. He is proven on dirt, so that's a good thing. But I'm not sure he classes up. I'm a little bit concerned. He's going to be chasing K-Nix Go and Charlatan. I don't see how he's going to chase them and go by. I don't think he's that classy. If I wanted to take a horse sort of underneath, I prefer a closer in case things get really heated. Brendan Cassidy, what a pleasure to have you on. Brendan Cassidy, I've been talking to a lot on Twitter. Brendan, thanks a lot and on my show comments. Brendan, thanks for joining. Brendan, would you like to say hello to everyone?
Hey, hi everybody. I'm in New Jersey and it's snowing like hell here. What's it like where you guys are at?
Where are you from, Brendan?
I'm in Colts Neck, New Jersey. Down on the
Jersey, okay. We've got people from Buffalo, Kentucky. The weather overall just is crap everywhere. I'm in the Chicago area. We got another snow. We're supposed to get 3 to 5 inches tomorrow or over the weekend. Anyway, it's crazy. So, Brendan, we'll get back to your questions in a minute. Thanks a lot for joining us. So, Trish, that's how I feel about military law. I'm not using military law in first or second. I also think there's a chance that military law is going to be an underlay because I think he might be overbet because he's won on dirt and he just won recently. So I think military law can get third at best. That's my opinion. Lamar, I see your hand up. Thank you, sir. What's your question? What can I do for you?
Did you do a pick 4, pick 5 for the Saudi Cup?
I did not do a pick 4 or pick 5. I talked about this before you came on. The reason, Lamar, mainly is there are some goofy races in the sequence. There's like an Arabian race.
Right,
there's a lot of horses that, frankly, I'm not familiar with. Now, they're just so you know, DRF did put out past performances for the entire card. So you can see the past performance for these horses and a lot of these Euros that have run. You see the time form US ratings, which is, like it's basically a buyer rating. By the way, if you're not familiar with the time form US ratings, when you look at them, either through Equibase or DRF. You can basically subtract, the general rule is you subtract 20 points from the time form US to the buyer. So when you see a 120 time form US, that equates in general, it's not a hard and fast rule, but in general, you subtract about 20 points. So the horse runs a 120, that's like about a 100 buyers, somewhere in that range. But the reason, Lamar, that I didn't do a pick 4 or pick 5 on Saudi, first of all, I'm not sure what kind of pool sizes they're going to be. Secondly, there's a lot of horses that I'm completely unfamiliar with that are Arabians and horses that have been running in Dubai and Saudi Arabia. And frankly, I'd rather spend my time handicapping Gulfstream and Laurel and other places I'm going to bet on Saturday. So no, not. But again, Shadowmaker, who's a horse I think a lot of us know, nice turf horse from Mott. He's running in, I believe it's the second race. It's the $1 million middle distance turf race. And I don't think off the top of my head there's any other Americans running in any of the races other than the Saudi Cup and Shadowmaker. So it's just not a bet I'm interested in, Lamar. I will say on Dubai World Cup, which is a little over a month from now, that was one of my first biggest scores I ever had. I played the pick 6, and in about 2000, I have to look it up, 2000 maybe 12 or 13, I hit the pick 6 for about 20 grand. It was, which for me is a ton of money. I mean, that's a lot for everyone, right? That's a lot of money for anyone. So since then, I always bet the pick 6 in Dubai. Of course, I haven't hit it since, but I do, a month from now, we'll do a Dubai show, and I will put together a horizontal ticket for that, because there's horses that I'm a little more familiar with. And frankly, the quality in those races are even better than the Saudi Cup races.
I got you. Thank you.
No problem. Does anyone have any questions? I don't see any other question in the chat. Would anyone like to? Jim has a question. Jim's from Buffalo, everyone, by the way. Just so those of you that are joining us that just came on. What's up, Jim?
Yeah, I just maybe want to add a little bit of information. I'm fortunate that my daughter lives probably within driving distance of Laurel.
Okay.
So, number one, concern about the weather. The weather is going to be fantastic on Saturday. They're looking for mid to upper 30s, bright sunshine. A report from the track this morning said that the track was in phenomenal shape. I heard some interviews with some of the trainers who were really pleased at how well the track was groomed by the people taking care of it. They're expecting a fantastic fast track on Saturday. So, maybe keep that into consideration as you're thinking about your handicapping. Really kind of want to look back at the 7th race.
Sure, and we'll go back after you. I'll go and open it up.
Well, yeah, there's a horse, Don't Let Sweet Fool You, who I know you have listed as a seahorse, who I've got a little bit of information on that maybe people would want to upgrade it to an A or a B.
By the way, just a clarification, I have this horse as a B in the.
Oh, you do have it a B. Okay, I thought you had
this
it.
Was I'm not going to show you the ticket again, but if you look at the ticket, the 3 is a B for me.
I know. I heard an interview earlier a couple of weeks ago at Lacey Gaudet, the trainer, and she was talking specifically about this horse and mentioned how the horse was a little bit goofy as a 2-year-old and unfocused. When they brought her back as a 3-year-old, if you look at the past performance in the very first race, they had a bug on, and they put blinkers on for the first time.
Yeah.
And the horse ran so much better. But from then on, they put the regular driver Toledo on, and the horse absolutely loves the rail. The horse just wants to run next to the rail, is very comfortable there. Since they put the blinkers on, the horse is going to be dead speed. The horse is about as razor sharp, she claims, and the horse was actually headed three starts ago at Pimlico, and absolutely loved when the horse came up and just pulled away. A lot of high hopes for the horse. The horse is in perfect draw position and go to the rail where the horse is very comfortable, undefeated since putting. I know that the competition hasn't been as good, but since the blinkers have been on and since they've hooked her up with the rider Toledo, knows exactly how to ride her. I think she actually is a threat, and I think she'll be higher than that 7-2 morning line.
Do you really? I mean, you got to think Sharp Star and Hello Beautiful are going to be the 1-2 on the board. You would think, right?
Right.
So, what kind of odds do you think you're getting on the 3?
I
Do you think you're getting better than 7-2? I mean, it's only an 8-horse field.
Yeah, I think I could easily get 5-1 as a 3rd or 4th choice.
Wow. Okay.
Again, Lacey Gaudet has never won a stakes race, so that'll probably be a little bit against her as well. She's known locally, but known as maybe a lower level trainer. Not
Sure.
one.
She's actually very good off the claim.
She's very
If you
good.
bet races out in the Mid-Atlantic, she's fantastic off the claim.
Right, but not really known as a higher level horse trainer.
Right.
More the mid level. So some of the nationwide people that are going to bet the card may not be as familiar.
Okay.
As well.
And Gabby Gaudette's sister, I believe.
Yeah.
Gabby Gaudet's on TVG.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just
Here's
think
I take all your points well, and depending on my ticket, if I'm having a good day, I might move this horse up to an A, especially if the track is speed favoring. And I find Laurel to be, let me go ahead and put you back on camera here. I find Laurel to be pretty fair. People think, and Lamar, we'll get to your question. I see your hand up. Thank you. People see Laurel and it's a very long stretch. So people automatically think it favors closers, not necessarily at all. But I find it to be pretty fair. It'll be interesting to see, Jim. Now, I know you guys I'm sorry, but I know Maryland's beginning some like sleet and ice and sort of mixture and maybe a little snow. I have absolutely no idea how that's going to affect the track condition for Saturday. I'm assuming they're going to race tomorrow. I think they're scheduled to race tomorrow, and I'm assuming they will. So if they do race tomorrow, I think it'd be a very good idea for everyone listening to this, whether you're watching the replay or live, to watch some of Laurel's races on Friday and see how the track is playing. But Jim, do you have any concern at all? And all your points are well taken. Do you think this horse has faced a speed horse, as good as Hello Beautiful? And do you think that she can, take pressure from the 8 horse probably the whole way and still be able to outclose the 1 and anyone else that might come running?
I think that's why you're getting 5-1, Howard. We're going to find out on Saturday, but I think it's worth the chance. The horse is definitely moving up. Hasn't faced horses that of that quality before, but going to be in a perfect position. I think she's faster to the front. If you look at the times,
I would agree with that.
Last time. So I think she'll definitely be on the rail where the horse supposedly is very, very comfortable. The rider and the trainer know the track very well. The horse did take pressure 3 starts back and was able to pull away, although certainly not the pressure she's going to get.
Sure.
And I just think that there's a great chance that the horse may be the goods. And again, at that price, especially in a pick 5 sequence, so you're going to beat a first, second heavy chalk in the middle of the sequence.
Listen,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Once people get to that 3rd or 4th leg, they tend not to go as deep.
Right. When I started playing when the pick 5 came out many years ago, I probably did what a lot of inexperienced players did, which is say, people say, I just want to be alive. I just want to be. It's such a silly, bad way of thinking. And over the years, I've tried really hard not to think that way. Everyone wants to be alive the last race. But if you lose the last race every time, who cares if you're losing the last race or the first race? I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever to weigh any ticket heavy early just because. Now, if you think the races are wide open early and thin late, I understand. But do yourselves a favor out there, folks. And listen, I don't have all the answers. I've never written a handicapping book, but I've read a lot of books. I've been doing this a long time. Please don't weigh your horizontal tickets early, like Jim was just discussing, just to stay alive, because it just makes no sense. But Jim, a lot of the players that play smaller tickets do that. So I agree. If you can get a price in the last leg, that always jumps your ticket up a lot more than getting a price early, because people tend to spread early.
One more, just last comment, then I'll go off with don't let the sweet fool you. Lacey Gaudet in her interview mentioned that they were actually looking for longer races for the horse. They think she's actually going to be better at 7 furlongs or a mile. The difficulty they had was that Laurel writes very few of them. They don't fill. She had actually entered 2 of them that didn't fill and was forced to cut back to 6 furlongs. So they actually think the horse is going to be better at 7 furlongs or a mile. So this is a 7 furlong race. It probably won't show up in the PPs. In fact, people probably think can't get the distance. And the trainer thinks the absolute opposite. Distance will be this horse's friend. So that's another maybe tidbit of information that leans me a little bit towards again, that's the trainer's opinion. So we'll see what happens on
Listen,
Saturday.
Jim, this is why I love getting other people. I mean, I wouldn't get this opinion from someone else unless I read into the race and, I looked up what Lacey Gaudet had said. Everything you said makes complete sense. This horse can absolutely win. No question about it. I'm just concerned about if she classes up. But you know what? Right. She might. And the other thing about distance, though, you got to be a little bit careful. And I'm not saying that Lacey Gaudet doesn't know her horse. The longer they go, the more they can relax early, and the slower the fractions are. So that's another misleading handicapping angle. People think speed horses always want to, are always going to be better, shorter. Not necessarily, because if this horse was in a 2-turn race, let's say, she's going to get an easy lead, probably with slower fraction, and can relax up front, as opposed to this race, at least in my opinion, where I think she will get pace pressure early. So your point, though, is absolutely well taken. Look for the 3 everyone on Saturday. That horse can absolutely win. Obviously, Lacey Gaudet loves that horse. Lamar, thanks, Jim. Lamar, you had a question that you wanted to ask a little before.
Yes. What race was that? Race 7?
That was race 7. That's the Barbara Fritchie. Yeah.
The 3 horse. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Was there another question you had?
No, that's it, bro.
Okay. So, guys, if 3 doesn't run well, find out. Jim lives in Buffalo. Look him up. I'm just kidding, Jeff. But listen, I'm sure, just like every handicapper, I will not be correct about all my opinions on Saturday. That's for sure. Would anyone like to make any other comments? Anyone have any questions at all? Feel free to turn your microphone off and chat. We'd love to hear from you. Susan, Richard, Brendan, Jim, before we take let me just see if anyone else, just to be fair to other people. Does anyone want to talk about anything? Brendan usually has stuff to say when you talk to me on the comments.
Yeah, I apologize. I was busy tonight with some personal things, so I didn't really get a chance to prepare.
No problem.
By the way, I just have a question on the Zoom. So are you going to try to do these? Because it's great when we can interact with you like this.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Is this an experiment, or is this something you were hoping you could do more regularly?
Well, it's a great question. I think that's really up to you guys. Now, I had no idea how many people were going to come on. At about 8:05, I was ready to – about 8:03, I was ready to turn the Zoom off and say, oh, well, that didn't work out well. Jim saved the day. He was the first one on. I was hoping to have like 20, 30 plus people on. Brendan, the bottom line to me is if we get, right now we've got like 7 or 8 people on. If we can have like 10 plus people on, then I almost prefer this over a live stream, because then you get to talk to people. So the problem is not everyone has Zoom, and some people actually prefer live streams also. So I think it's really up to you guys. Please comment. You don't have to tell me right now. Feel free to comment in the video player below on my YouTube channel, or you can just comment in the chat. Are we going to just ask right now, just show of hands or in the chat, how many people like this idea more than the live stream? I'm a school teacher, and we've been remote since the beginning of the year. So I'm on Zoom every day, 6 hours a day for the last literally 12 months. So I know Zoom well. I'm comfortable with it. Some people don't want to go on and talk. Some people don't want to see their face, etc. So Brendan, the long-winded answer is it's completely up to the viewers and the people at home. Those of you that are going to be watching this as a replay on my YouTube channel, please comment down below. Would you prefer more Zoom chats, and would you come on to a Zoom chat, or would you prefer a live stream? I say for me, technically, I'm not a technical genius by any way, shape, or form. Like computer technology and software is not my game. Doing Zoom is a lot easier for me than a live stream. A live stream is a lot more technical things behind the scenes that you don't see. So I personally would probably prefer a Zoom. But, when I send out a Zoom link, you're sending it out to the whole world, and anyone could just come to the Zoom link. That's the only other issue. But, you won't have too many knuckleheads coming to a horse handicapping, show. So what do you prefer, Brendan?
Oh, I'm definitely a Zoom guy. I like the, and I got to just tell you in front of her, I don't know the other people, whether they're men or women on the line, but I think you're a real talent. I think you're very unique. As far as I'm big into technology, I'm into YouTube and Zooms, and I'm an IT person by training, but I think you're very unique in this industry, and I think there's a real sweet spot for you to be doing this, and I think the Zoom interactive really plays well to your strengths, I believe.
Well, Brendan, I really appreciate that. Actually, I got an IT question I might ask you when we're done, when I stop recording, that maybe you can help me with. But I really appreciate those comments. My YouTube channel is literally like 3 weeks old, and all of my preview videos have over 100 to 150 views. Obviously, I got some exposure being on the Matt Bernier show 3 times. I was on the Matt Bernier show, and I've conversed with him many times. And he's not a friend of mine. I've never met him in person, but other than through Zoom. but I got a little exposure in terms of name recognition through that. I also play a lot of contests, so people are seeing my name on NIRA contests once in a while, like on Fox and et cetera. So I really appreciate those comments, Brett, and I do my best. And I was actually a journalism major, even though I teach math. It's a long story. No one's interested. Anyway, I was a journalism major. This is something I always wanted to do in one way, shape, or another. If I did have a second career, it would have probably been in radio, because I was told I have a face for radio and not for TV. So anyway, I could easily see myself being like a talk show host in another life, but I'm very happy doing what I do right now, teaching high school math. And but anyway, thanks for the comments, Brendan. I really appreciate that. Susan, you have your microphone off. I don't know if you wanted to comment or say anything. Okay. So Brendan, just to let you know, we do have two women on. Trish Smith is on. Trish has been on the Matt Bernier show also. I think twice, actually, Trish. Congratulations, by the way, for being a two-time guest. So anyway, any other questions, comments about Saudi Cup, anything about horse racing in general? Anything you want to shoot my way? Any questions at all? Jim, sorry, you had your hand up earlier.
No,
by the way, Jim, I got a question for you.
Sure.
As a harness guy, do you play the Meadowlands Pick 5 and Pick 6s?
I often do.
You played Survivor?
I have tried that a few times. It's not my favorite bet. I prefer the Pick 5 or the Pick 4s.
Every Friday and Saturday, I play the early Pick 5. I told you, and I actually started off as a harness player when I was a teenager in early 20s. It's a little bit eeasier to handicap than some of the horse racing.
Yeah, I think
I definitely follow harness and play the Pick 5, and usually the earlier of the two Pick 4s at Meadowlands. I think it starts in race 6 is usually their first Pick 4. But anyway, go ahead. I digress.
Oh, yeah. I mean, as far as harness, that's algebra, and thoroughbreds is calculus in my eyes, being a math teacher. I think harness is a lot easier, and I've had a lot of national success, two-time national handicapping champion in harness. Again, the transition to thoroughbreds.
Oh, you have been. You have been.
Excuse me?
You said you've been a two-time champion for the harness handicap?
In harness, yeah.
Wow, congratulations.
Champions. Yeah, I've had a lot of success in the harness. It's been a little bit
of
a tough transition to the
now that's at the Meadowlands, right? The final contest?
Yeah.
You have to qualify for it, right? Or can you just show up
locally and then national? And I was in 2 special invites where they selected one handicapper from 10 different cities in the country.
Wow.
And then we had a kind of a 10-person harness month-long contest, and I was fortunate enough to do well in both those, winning both times.
Wow.
Back to back. And
congratulations.
That was about 10 years ago. So
I've not been to the Meadowlands. It's one of my sort of bucket list. Maybe on Hambo Day or something. But anyway, go ahead. You had a question.
Well, really more of a comment. I think the biggest stand I'm going to make, and I think the horse is going to be, even money 6-5, is in the 8th race in Laurel's Pick. Funny Guy, I'm completely against.
I agree with you. I'd love to hear your reasons.
Yeah, my big stand. I'm
going to go ahead and show Funny Guy. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm going to show his PPs while you talk through. Go ahead.
Yeah, the horse has 4 wins on dirt. 2 of them are on off tracks early in his career, and the track is supposed to be fast and pristine on Saturday. The 2 wins the horse does have on fast tracks, on regular tracks, they're both at Saratoga. To me, handicapping the little bit I have on thoroughbred, Saratoga is a track that either horses absolutely love or absolutely hate. One of the few angles I've had success with in betting thoroughbreds, if I see a horse runs well, except for a couple of races at Saratoga, or vice versa, where a horse has not run well and suddenly has a couple of good races at Saratoga, I completely take that into my handicapping prowess. In this particular race, the only races Funny Guy has won on fast tracks has been at Saratoga. It's one of those tracks where I think horses either love it or hate it. The horse has not won outside, has taken a lot of money, been beaten favorites. I shouldn't say that. I actually shouldn't say that. The horse did win at Aqueduct, and 2 starts back by that neck.
Right.
That short field. But if you look early on, the Saratoga races really don't impress me. Running a lot of state-bred races in New York. New York does not have the best New York state-bred program. I think the horse is going to be terribly overbet. Not really sure who I'm going to go to, but one of my big stands is to hit the big Pick 5, you're going to have to beat a heavy favorite. I think Funny Guy is the one you want to try to beat.
Well, I'm going to push back just a little bit on a few things. First of all, I think the New York breeding program is pretty darn good. Maybe that's because I'm Illinois and the whole breeding program in Illinois has gone to complete crap, which I don't even want to get into because they actually used to be decent years ago. So I think there are some good New York breds. The reason why I'm going to use Funny Guy is because I think he is the class. I mean, he's been in great stake races. I don't think this is a very strong field, really. So, although he hasn't won very much away from Saratoga on fast, he's run figs there by far good enough. And he's also been trained pretty well. So I agree, though, in general, though. I would never put a win bet on this horse at like 7-5, whatever. I never, ever, ever. But I'm not going to toss this horse out completely. Go for it. I'm happy. I have no problem tossing favorites. There's an argument, if you're familiar with ABC tickets, there's an argument out there that says you should not use a favorite as a B. Because if you're taking a stand against the horse, you should toss him or use him as a C, because a B costs too much money. So just to let you know, if you play ABC tickets, there is a pretty big difference between a B and a C horse. And using a horse as a B costs a decent amount more than a C. I might even downgrade. Again, I'm not sure about my exact final ticket. I might just say, screw it. I'm gonna go for it, not use him at all. But I mean, he fits so well, and so I think I'm probably gonna use him. But all your points are sort of well taken.
Could I interrupt again for a second?
Yes, Brendan, go ahead.
What was the name of the gentleman that just spoke?
Oh, that's Jim.
Jim. Sorry, Jim, I didn't get your name, but I'll remember it the next time. You were talking about Saratoga, and I'm 64 years old, so I've been in the racing game for a long time. But your comment about Saratoga, I just want to make sure you're aware of one thing. What you said about the track being notoriously either they love the track or hate it, that's been true for obviously decades. But you may or may not be aware that last year they ripped up that dirt track and they put a brand new dirt track down. So while what you said has been true in the past, there hasn't been enough time since they put the new dirt track in. And it was a very fair track this past summer. But just be careful you don't assume that that's going to continue going forward, because they did put a brand new dirt track in there. I just want to make sure you're aware of that.
Jim, I'm just going to let you respond, and then we're going to continue on, but I'm going to turn the recording off after Jim responds, because we're getting to about an hour and a half of this. And when I put it on YouTube, it'll take 5 days for it to transform to YouTube. I don't want to go too long on my YouTube video of this. So just real quick, thanks everyone for joining us. I'm going to let Jim respond to Brennan's question, and then I'm going to stop our recording. But you folks can stay on. I'm going to keep the Zoom link on, and we can talk further in general. So Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, Brendan, that's a great point. Something I really hadn't looked at. Just going traditionally, I know that Saratoga has been a poor track in the past where horses either love it or hate it. But you're absolutely right. They did redo the track, and you're probably right in that it hasn't been enough time to determine if horses are going to adapt well moving to other tracks from Saratoga. So I will keep that in mind. Still going to take a stand against Funny Guy. In a pick 5 sequence, you do have to make a stand somewhere, and this will be mine. But I will keep an eye on that and see how horses that have run in 2020 run, from Saratoga going forward. So thank you for the point, and thanks for reminding me of that. Big track change with everything happening this year with the pandemic, and the horse racing has kind of been upside down. Just things like that kind of slip through your mind as you're going through, and just old habits fall. And the old Saratoga habit of not using horses that either run well there or don't run well there in your handicapping is something I have to really, really pay attention to, so I don't fall into that habit again.
Well, good point, Jim and Brendan. Thanks. And again, everyone, feel free to stay on here after I just give a closing announcement. Thanks to everyone who joined us tonight. Again, if you're watching this replay on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe down below. Please comment down below the video player, and also follow me on Twitter at @HKravitz. I'd love to hear any ideas you have. Again, everyone here, thanks for coming. We're going to talk a little bit off the recording for a few minutes. Good luck on Saturday for the Saudi Cup and the Laurel Pick 5. Take care, everyone.